All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Commissioners Court, our evening meeting for the month. Today is the 24th of November, 2014, and it's right at 6 o'clock. And so we're going to begin in the way that we normally do, and I'll ask everyone to stand, and we're going to begin with a prayer, and then we'll have a Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and many blessings. Dear Heavenly Father, we pray that you be with this court. We pray that the decisions we make tonight will always be for the best interest of the people of this county. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask you to be of our leaders of this state and our nation. And dear Heavenly Father, we just pray that we thank you so much for the freedom that we have in this country and the great country that we live in. We ask you to be with our men and women that are overseas serving and fighting for this country. We ask you to be with them and protect them and help bring them home. Be thy will. Just always be with us, guide us, and protect us. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll begin with item number 1, public comments and or requests for information on non-agenda items in accordance with section 551.042 of the Texas Open Meetings Act. I've got a couple of gentlemen that would like to speak, and I'll ask for Mr. Horton. Mr. Horton, I'll have you on first if you'd like to come up, please. And then Mr. Wall, I'll have you next.
A few weeks ago, I talked to you about rescuing some of the historic cemeteries that we have in the county. We talked then about putting it on the agenda. I missed last week, but I understand that the Democrats on the court decided that they had an agenda item that was much more important of voting to do away with Monday night's meeting. In lockstep with their emperor, they put their own desires ahead of the public. It's unfortunate. The lame duck over there had no business. He only had 2 more meetings to go, so what did he accomplish?
I'm just a little tired of you sitting up and calling me a lame duck every time you get up, fella.
Well, okay, what should I call you, Commissioner?
Go ahead, Mr. Horton.
I don't understand reading. I voted the way I do.
Anyway, I object to what y'all
well, you object to everything we do.
Excuse me?
Mr. Horton, go ahead. And I'll give you a little bit of background on that vote. And I believe that there's more to that decision than you may be aware of. Nonetheless, the vote was what it was. But go ahead.
I know it's what Mr. Antonelli put in his paper. I would like to go back to the cemetery problem and request again that be an agenda item somewhere in the future that we can talk about this. We've been neglecting it. You have the responsibility for taking care of those cemeteries, and no one has stepped forward except Commissioner Riddle. Took care of his when I mentioned the fact that one of them was in serious condition. So it was just a snowball effect of those 2 items that concerned me, and which I wanted to speak to you tonight and request again that it be put as an agenda item.
And actually, I did have it on my agenda for this week, but I removed it. Nobody told me to remove it. I just removed it simply because of the fact that I was out of town for 3 days last week and didn't get a chance to visit with the commissioners. And I would like to be able to, give them a heads up and know what they're thinking and be sure that they have some kind of an idea of what to discuss when we bring that up. All righty, Mr. Wall. All these gentlemen with you and ladies.
Yes, sir. Troop 101, sponsored by the Optimist Club. We're here tonight to give you a final status for 2015 on our Boy Scout garden. As you know, we planned a model garden for last year. Due to some unfortunate statements and events, it failed to come about. We did run a test garden. We produced, and I don't know the exact number. I emailed Judge Lee with the final figures. I don't remember what they were, but let's just say it was somewhere in the 10 to 11,000 vegetables that we were able to provide. Keep that in mind. I'll come back to that figure, because this year we do in fact have a model garden. We have received magnificent partnership support from several organizations, starting with, of course, the county commissioners as well as the sheriff's department. Northeast or NTCC Agriculture Department gave us tremendous support, as did Home Depot. And financial support we received from Luminant and the American National Bank really made everything worthwhile. As of today, we picked up a new partnership with Guaranty Bank and Trust. We have a model garden because we have cover crops on the ground all year long. We do not allow bare ground. In fact, I'll take weeds before I'll take bare ground. We have 9-foot center rows that are 140 feet long. We have 8 of them. We use organic fertilizer only. We use solid when we put the plants in the ground, and we use liquid organic fertilizer during the year through drip irrigation. We do not do any tilling. We use paper mulch. It's very thick paper, but pliable. NTCC took a swath of it, soaked it in water for 7 days. It was still viable. And we use drip irrigation. We don't know of another garden in this part of the country that are doing all of these things. Just north of the vegetable garden, we grew gourds this year, apple, bottle, and swan net, which we will store and are storing until next spring, when we will drill holes in them, clean them up, paint them, varnish them, and we'll sell them to raise money for troop expenses. Remember a while ago I said somewhere around 10 to 11,000 vegetables we produced last year. This year, tomatoes, 10,545, of which approximately 20-25% were cherry. The rest were full size. Tomatillos was our one big failure. We only produced 477. Should have had several times that amount. But I have never seen a plant that attracted so many insects. We simply could not stay ahead of them. Okra, 19,972 pods. Cucumbers, 1,162. Peppers, 23,386 for a grand combined total of 55,542 vegetables that we grew to support the needy. We also produced 153 gourds, which we will be working with next spring. Our plans for 2015 are to expand and do more. We will be doing things like we're going to expand the length of the garden rows from 140 feet to 200 feet. We will expand the irrigation. Instead of having a single line coming down by the vegetables, we're going to have a double line with the vegetables in between them. We think it'll be much more efficient for the plant. We'll be starting the seeds in January, and we'll also be looking for donation and grants, because we're going to require more cages, more paper mulch, more irrigation lines, seeds, fertilizers, and propane. But we do thank you for your support. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, we're looking for additional support in 2015. You and the Sheriff's Department are Titus County officials. Our produce is produced for needy in Titus County. We're going to be requesting any possible prisoner support that we can get. Starting in May, we'd like to get 8 man-hours a week, but if I could get even 4 man-hours a week, 4 individuals for 1 hour, 2 individuals for 2 hours a week to help us out there, it would be a tremendous asset. We know that the prisoners like being out there, and if there's when they need to be out there, we can accommodate our schedule to be out there with them. Again, we thank you for your support. We thank you in advance for your increased support, and I'll be back to report to you again in 2015. And these are some of the individuals who work in that garden and make it possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for your attendance tonight. We appreciate the work that you've done and all the food that you've produced for the citizens of this county. And plan something early part of the year if you're going to be looking for some kind of request from the county, and that way we can have plenty of time to consider and honor that request, all right?
Thank you.
Okay, did you have a comment? I'm sorry.
No, I would like for them to stand up here and get a picture.
Sure, you want to stand up and get a picture? How about that?
That's who we should have got the hand.
Did you get a wide enough angle there? All right, thanks again. Y'all are welcome to sit and listen to the rest of our meeting. Some of our meeting, you're welcome to leave now and go home and do your homework. Okay? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks again, fellas.
Thank you.
Curtis, how you
Thank
been? Good. Item number 2, consider and possibly approve minutes from our November 10th.
Before we go on to number 2, I want to say something a little bit about our cemeteries, Mr. Horton. We can help in cemeteries, and all of us have helped clean up where there's no organization or there's no group there to help. And this is what we run into and what you run into. We have cemeteries out there that if we catch time, then we try to help. I do work through the Sheriff's Department at this time when there's a major deal, but I go through the court, ask the court's permission, and also the sheriff has to be able to coordinate with us. Those cemeteries, you know and I know, there's cemeteries out there that's just been abandoned through the years. Nobody takes care of them. There's no family. There's nobody there. And I think it is the responsibility of the Commissioner's Court and the commissioners, if they can help with this situation, if there's family members there that can do the work, they're the ones that need to step up and really help and stuff. But you know and I know there's cemeteries out there that nobody lives here anymore. And we're going to help when we need to help and where we cannot find family, and we've done this. I've done this for years. And I know the other commissioners have helped in certain situations. We're limited on manpower and what we can do and what we can't do. It's really a great asset for the Sheriff's Department, and they're taking the prisoners out there. As he was talking about a while ago, this is something that is a plus because the prisoners like to be out there. First of all, they're outside doing things, and it's something good for the community. I don't know if you've got a cemetery in my precinct or not, but, you know, we'd have to look at it. If we do, we'll try to get something worked out to do it. But here again, we all try to do what's best for the county and help out in this situation, because I've got one grave, and a lot of times I go down and weed eat around it, but it's on private property, and the people, they're not related in any form or fashion, but there is one grave on that property. And, you know, we just try to assist and aid as we can. In the summertime, usually it works better in the fall because it stays clean all winter, and it'll do some growing in the summertime. But that's usually when we try to help with the cemeteries and do what we can do. Maybe that'll answer some of your question there. But if you'll, I don't know. I think I hadn't checked all the cemeteries this year, but I've checked most of them. I've got one that still needs some attention, and I've tried to find the family members, and most of the time you're not going to find anybody, and you run into the same situation. There's just nobody out there that can take care of it. But maybe that helped you some on how I address it.
Item number 2, consider and possibly approve minutes from our November 10th regular meeting. This was our first meeting of the month at 9 a.m.
Judge, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you.
November 10th.
All right, motion by Commissioner Hinton. I'll make a second. All in favor of the approval of the November 10 minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 3, consider and possibly approve minutes from our November 14th special meeting of the Commissioners Court. This is the meeting where we heard from Leonard Rockwell about the results of the election and also had a brief presentation by Chris Basham.
Judge, I'd also like to make a motion to approve those minutes also.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton, second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I'm going to jump down and skip item 4 for a moment because I'm going to try to get Ray out of here, but I've got here with us tonight Ray Barrett, our new constable, and this kind of relates to him, but I want to discuss with you item 5 and 6 kind of go together. But I got a nice call a couple of weeks ago from a private citizen who has requested to remain anonymous and doesn't want any fanfare, but apparently he has a friendship with Ray Barrett and recognized a need, or what he felt was a need for the county to provide the constables and the deputies of our constables with a new body-worn camera that would enable them to videotape the things that they're working on, and you can understand that sometimes they get into a situation where it would be an invaluable tool to have audio and video there to back up the situation that they are dealing with. The police department has, have they already gotten theirs, or they've just placed their order as well? How long have they had them?
I think about 2 months, about a month and a half.
Okay, okay.
Actually, I have one tonight, it's one there.
And I'm going to let you stand up and show us here in a minute, but the entire police department is utilizing these, okay? And you can give us some more details on it in a minute. But anyway, he asked how could he provide these units for each of our 2 constables plus each of their pair of deputies, our volunteers, to have one of these body-worn cameras. And I said, I'll turn it over to our county attorney and find out how we can go about this. I did that. John Mark Coburn, our county attorney, investigated this, and he said, here's how you do it. The individual can make a cash donation or a check donation to the commissioner's court, not to a specific department, but to the commissioner's court, and then the commissioner's court can vote on approving or making that purchase that was requested with that donation. So that's what we're here to do tonight. And before I go any further about making this purchase, well, no, let's just kind of do these together. If you'll come on up, give Lou an opportunity to take a picture of you, and maybe you can tell us what you know about that unit that you're wearing right now. It's I know it's the latest, greatest technology, but I don't know much about it other than the brief amount that I read and the documentation you provided for me.
Okay, I think what I gave you already is what I have here on the camera. It's from Safety Vision, which is the name of the company. The reason I got the idea to check into those was because the police department had looked into them and had actually already tested them, so I got my information from them. But this is the camera here. You wear it with a attachment that attaches to your lapel on your shirt. It can go at different angles, you know, for taller people, short people. That way you get a good angle when you're filming. But it's real easy. All you have to do is just push the record button when you get to a situation where you feel like you're going to record. The camera also takes still pictures if you get into a situation where you have some evidence, or you know, that you need to take a photograph of, or if you have a particular person you need to take a photograph of, it'll take still pictures that can be printed off and then logged into evidence. It doesn't have night vision, but it's got it's infrared is what it is. So it records at night, but it records in black and white when it's recording at night. And what it does is it pulls off any other light sources around, whether it's headlights from a car, street lights, anything like that, and it actually puts off a good video. I've watched several videos in color with daytime vision and then also at nighttime at the police department. Real high quality, high definition videos with good audio to them. From best I can tell, it's one of the best cameras out on the market right now.
And that works off of a memory card that's there, that's removable?
It has a built-in system to it to where all you have to do, once you make a video, at the end of the day, you can come back and you can plug it into your computer, and when you do, it downloads everything automatically to your computer, and then you keep those files for your records. If you have something like it's going to end up going to court, or an allegation gets made, you know, we need that video to prove that we did or didn't do something, then we can come in and take and burn that onto a CD or a DVD, and then keep that in evidence or keep it in our records for the remainder of the time.
How many of these units will this 2,700 buy, right? How many units will that buy? 2,700?
What it is, it'll buy 6. They're $450 each, but if you buy 5, you get an extra one. They throw in an extra one. Well, we needed 6 because there's 6 of us over there, and I thought we'd probably do the 6th and get the 7th one free, so we'll have an extra in case somebody's, you know, breaks or something happens to it, then they'll still have access to one while that one's being repaired. So we're actually purchasing 6 and we'll get 7.
I think about the sheriff's department, they probably need these too.
I think it's something they're already looking
Are
into.
y'all already looking at that?
Yes, sir, we're looking into it, we're looking at a little bit different brand and to see what kind of deal we might get on compared to one we have. The way we actually have some order for the jail, we're gonna pay for through the commissary money. And if the jail likes, we're gonna try out there, if we like, we're gonna
I think that's a good deal.
In my 12 years at the police department, you know, we're always videoing with cars, you know, the cameras that are inside the cars, and those things have personally saved me several times from accusations and things. So, and over at the constable's office, we literally have nothing, and so I think these are going to be a big benefit to us, especially doing transport. I mean, I've got an OPC I'm probably going to be transporting tomorrow, which is a female. If I don't have anybody to go with me, at least I can turn this camera on and record my entire trip. So I think it's going to be a big benefit.
I make that motion, we accept the donation.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Hockaday, second by Commissioner Fields, and this letter just simply says, to whom it may concern, please accept this donation that I am making for the intended purpose of purchasing 7 32-gigabyte police body cameras from Safety Vision. And I discussed the quantity with the donor, and he said, I agree, let's buy 6 and get a 7th one free. I've got the proposal here, $2,730, and that's exactly what the check was made out for. No purchase has been made. I asked Ray to hold off until we discuss these two items. All right, I've got a motion and a second. All in favor of accepting the private donation in the amount of $2,730 for the purpose of purchasing these cameras for the constables and deputies, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item number 6 is to consider and possibly approve the purchase of these 6 body cameras for the constables and their 4 deputies at a cost of $2,730.
Make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hockaday, second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor of the purchase of these 6 plus 1 free cameras, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you very much. Now you have your marching orders to go ahead and place your order, and I'll turn this check over to Cheryl, Carl, whoever.
Okay, I spoke with Lieutenant Carter from the police department. She said she would come over for you, give us the training that we need, because there was, just as I was leaving the police department, they were doing the training, so I just got out. She said it'd take about 2 hours, and we could do it all.
2 hours to punch a button?
Well, there's a lot to do.
I'm kidding. Okay, good deal. Well, thank you for your effort on this and getting that information and lining that deal up.
Judge, I'd like to agree with what Thomas was talking about there. I think that's a very good idea, Sheriff, and when you get that stuff put together, come back.
Some things I want to be looking into when we get ready to get ours is, these things come in several. What I like about the cities, when they got these, is these go on the shoulder and the camera point down. There are a lot of things, but some things that I'm going to look at too is, and what we're looking at is we do a lot of undercover stings on our narcotics, and I'm actually trying to find one possibly that's got an external connection here where you can plug like a mic in. So if we have it in the back of a car or a Suburban even, it can video, but then have the microphone, you know, up close to where you can hear everything that's going on up front, even on your video. And I'm not sure if these do that, and that's kind of some of the things why it's taking us a little longer. We're looking at them, but I need to make sure that they absolutely will do everything we need them to do before we come to y'all and ask to buy some. And also, I think I may have the money in my budget to get them instead of having to ask you guys for extra money. So.
Your camera out there is real good on sound. It picks out, if I watch some videos and listen to audio, and it picks out from the long ways off.
These are all things that you can TV as far as you're talking about one of the cheap insurance policies you can get right here. Well, these things will show it no matter what you're doing, it's kind of true. So, I mean, it gets them all, and that's what's good. Our car cameras, of course, they're limited. When you go in the house, sometimes you get voice, sometimes you can't. Most times you can't. It will shut off. And what's nice about these, no matter where you're at, I don't care if you're in a foot chase, if you're up in an airplane, it don't matter. When these are weak, you've got it. So, yeah, I like them.
All right, we're going to jump back to item number 4, status report for the Titus County Pass-Through Project. Let me read a brief letter to back up some news that we got in the middle part of last week that we've been hoping to get. Essentially, this is a letter from Robert Ratcliffe, the Atlanta District Engineer, and it says, as the county has addressed all items to the satisfaction of the department, please accept this letter of approval to open highway for the US 271 highway improvement. The department acknowledges that the state assumes responsibility for maintenance of the roadway with the issuance of this letter. To facilitate the department's final acceptance and uninterrupted reimbursement, the department requests Titus County to submit the items identified in subsection D of subsection 10 as provided for in Amendment 2 within 6 months of this letter. So essentially they're saying we are now taking control of the Highway 271 segment of our loop that we opened up a couple of months ago. As you'll recall, we had opened up the north end many months ago to help our businesses on the north end, and we opened up the highway here back in, when was that, September? But this is officially telling us that they are responsible for maintenance, and we are glad to have that. We can now push forward full speed ahead on beginning our reimbursements from the state related to this segment of our three-part loop project. I spoke with Mark Heidecker today with PTP and just asked for a status report on FM 4000. As you'll recall, we were shooting for Thanksgiving to be complete with the two intersections at 2348 and 1735, and they are real close. Were it not for some days that were too cold to lay asphalt, they would have made it. We're looking at hopefully wrapping up striping or wrapping up the asphalt this week and finishing up striping the early part of next week. So again, we're going to miss it by a few days, but not by much. And once again, James Construction Group will continue to work on miscellaneous aspects of the FM 4000 project, other than, of course, laying of the seal coat, which will not be done until next year. So we expect these guys to still be on the job at least to the end of the year, perhaps the early part of January, doing everything that they can do so that when they return on May 1st, they can lay that seal coat and get our road opened up within a few weeks of that. That's all I have to report on that. PTP is pleased with the progress being made by James Construction at this time, and James has a new job superintendent on the job. I don't know if you've met him or not. I have not met them, but he has once again reiterated to PTP that they will be staying through the end of the year or however long that it takes. They'd like to be out of here before the Christmas holidays, but if they're not, they're not. Any questions, comments anyone else has on any part of our FM 4000 or other parts of our loop? All right, moving on to item number 7, consider and possibly approve a resolution to add optional workers' compensation coverage for elected officials, volunteers, and jurors. I believe we do this each year. Is that correct, Christy? So we would just like to make that selection once again. It's being asked by by the insurance company, so we need to make that decision. And I would suggest that we simply do what we have been doing, and that is to cover elected officials, volunteers, our law enforcement volunteers are covered by that, and jurors. Jurors. Not a group that's currently covered. Covered by the policy. Okay, that is something that we could add. It looks like election personnel.
I make that motion.
Is your motion that we keep it the way that it has been and cover elected officials, law enforcement volunteers, and jurors? And you would like to add to that?
I second it.
Election workers. Okay.
I thought we had done that one time, sometime or other, didn't we, Chris? Did we cover them at one point? And I kind of got off of them. I think we did at one point cover them.
Okay, the motion has been made by Commissioner Hockaday. Did I hear a second from Commissioner Riddle? And that motion would be to elect to take advantage of additional coverage related to workers' comp that will cover elected officials, volunteers and law enforcement, jurors, and election workers.
Wait a minute. I thought his motion was to leave it like it is now.
No, he said to add jurors. I
Add
asked
the
him.
jurors to that.
Elected.
Add the elected officials.
Election workers.
Add election workers.
Yeah,
Oh, you don't want to
that's what I'm
add,
saying.
you don't need to do that. It's a lot of money.
It's probably not anymore than it would be. They don't go by.
They're all in different categories, and I would imagine that's probably the absolute lowest rate that there is. Now, how much do we spend on them, and how much would it cost? I don't really know.
It don't make any difference. I don't see any need for it.
I don't either.
I don't think we should do it, but that's a lot of money. What is it? What is it now on elected officials? 3%? 2%?
Oh, I doubt if it's that much on a juror or the.
Texas Association of Counties, that's who carries the workers' comp policy. You can check and get the quotes.
Or we can just leave it the same this year and look into it and revisit it next year.
We invent ways to spend money.
It's not going to be very expensive, I can assure
A
you.
little bit here and a little bit there adds up to real money one day, as Tip O'Neill said. $1 million here, $1 million there.
Well, you can table it and get the actual figures from Texas Association.
Okay, right now, I've got a motion on the floor, and if there's no second, it'll die for lack of a second. All right, we don't seem
they
to
get
have,
their-
excuse me, we don't seem to have a second at this time, so I'll entertain another motion.
What are you making the motion on that?
Well, I didn't get support for adding the election workers there, so now I'm looking for another one to keep it the same, or add to, or delete from, whatever your pleasure.
Is this something we got to do tonight? Can we
Well, they needed a resolution before we quit.
Pretty quick.
go ahead?
I'm going to make a motion that we cover, just as we have done in the past, elected officials, law enforcement volunteers, and jurors.
Say again?
I'm going to make the motion that we take advantage of this additional optional workers' compensation coverage and cover the same optional groups as we have in this past year, that being elected officials, law enforcement volunteers, and jurors.
Thank you.
Second by Commissioner Fields. Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Oppose.
Okay, I've got 4-1. Commissioner Riddle votes nay. Item number 8, consider and possibly take action on current and future health insurance claims that have been denied or are out of network. I wanted to tell you about a couple of situations that we have got. The first one is we had an employee with the sheriff's office who, here was how it went. This was a May 2013 claim, somewhere around $500. As many of you have probably received, he got a letter, actually several letters from the company, UMR, saying, before we can process this claim, we need additional information from you. And that additional information was basically, do you have any other insurance coverage? They sent out a total of 3 letters. Nothing was responded to. 1 year went by, and according to our plan, after 1 year, the claim is no longer a responsibility of our plan. So we now have an employee who, I don't know if he has actually paid the claim or not. It's my understanding, or has not paid the medical bill. I don't believe so, but I could be wrong. So that's the first question is, do we want to tell UMR to go ahead and pay this on behalf of our employee, or say, nope, I'm sorry, you didn't respond as you were supposed to, a year went by, and we're going to stick with the plan? That's situation 1. Situation 2, you'll recall last year, and maybe the last couple of years, we have discussed I'll call it the mammogram bus, the ETMC provided bus that comes on site and provides mammograms to those that requested it. I believe last year we had the situation, it came before the court, and we opted to go ahead and pay those claims even though they were higher and out of network. Well, This year it happens again. I can't tell you who called ETMC and said, send the mammogram bus up. But they sent the mammogram bus up, and we had numerous people. I don't know how many. Do you know how many took advantage of that? And so it comes through UMR, and UMR pays those claims as an out-of-network, which they should, because ETMC is out-of-network, always has been. And so we have employees that are saying, hey, why are you not paying me full rates? And the answer is, well, because it's an out-of-network charge. Well, I just showed up and got on the bus just like everybody else did. I didn't know it wasn't going to be paid for at full rates. And so here we are. Nobody in my office and nobody in the auditor's office, and Cheryl, I don't believe, correct me if I'm wrong, authorized anybody calling the ETMC bus. So I asked CAPS Insurance, please find out for me how much additional money this will cost the county if we go ahead and pay these claims based on the out-of-network terms and conditions and the fact that ETMC costs more than a comparable mammogram if you were to go to Titus Regional Medical Center. The answer is about $147 per claim. So I'm going to ask you to tell me what to do on those two situations, and then I'm going to ask you to maybe consider establishing a policy tonight so that we can go forward and say we're going to stick by the plan, and these situations that continue to come up because people assume or don't read or don't do enough investigation or whatever the reason is, it results in costing the county more money, and we're sitting here looking at a situation where we've got to pay several $100s more. We don't have to. Should we pay several $100s more because people just assumed that they would be well taken care of by these claims? Now, I don't know if you can make a hard and fast rule there, but you know, we need to somehow encourage our employees to do your due diligence before you spend any money on health-related items, and be sure you're getting a deal that you can live with. Be sure it's in network. Be sure that you respond to the letters, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Look to me like we've already got a rule when we don't, when out of network, you don't pay but, what, 60%? And what pays out of network? Looks to me like that's already the rule.
well, it is the rule. It is the rule, but again, the folks that use the mammogram, their argument is, well, we've always used the mammogram bus, and it's always been a good deal for us. Well, it always was when we were with Health First. But I know we had this conversation last year when we considered this same situation, but again, I don't know who ordered that bus, but somebody said, hey, bring the bus on up. We're ready for you again this year. Or maybe ETMC called somebody and said, hey, can we come and service the county again? So here we are.
Fred back there in the back, but are you looking at that's $147 more than
Per
what
person.
we would
Per
normally
person,
pay?
costing our plan $147 more if we are going to make our county employees whole and pay that claim to where they're out no more than they would be if it was an in-network plan. Fred, I'll let you speak if you'll come up to the podium.
Thank you. It looks like through no fault of the court or whatever, this has occurred, but yet these people should have checked before they did this to make sure it was covered. I mean, we're not going to walk in a hospital without seeing what's covered, what's not covered. We're not going to have an exam or anything. I think in reality that you should pay your amount, and these people should be the $140-something and be glad they're not paying it all. And then have it also in the future that they, when they come out, need to let you know which person and department called them, and that way they can track it down, and that could be stopped in the future of them just sending something out, because that's really not fair to y'all. It's not fair to the people out here either. They got stuck this time, but when you stop and think that these people paying $140-something out of their own pocket to possibly save their wife's life or whatever, I don't see where that's a dramatic amount. It's not really, since no fault of y'all, why should the county have to pay it?
Well, I don't know exactly what they've already paid for it. The 147 was simply the amount that I asked, what will it cost Titus County if we say we're gonna cover those employees that did business with an out-of-network company just as if it was an in-network. So they may have already paid 25, 50, 100,
Well,
I don't know what they
but
paid.
this could stop in the future, though, is they need to be able to let them know who called, the name and number of the person here that called, instead of just showing up out here and nobody
You're right,
knows.
you're right.
Because that's not fair to y'all. That puts y'all on the spot.
You're right. And as a bare minimum,
Fault to any of y'all.
as a bare minimum, that's exactly what we'll do, is I'll send out a memo to the department heads.
That
Be
would
ye
be the best
forewarned that we
solution.
will not do business with the ETMC bus again in the future unless you want to pay for it according to the
Right.
terms of the plan.
But it also, if it hasn't been done, then those people should understand that they're getting something pretty good that could possibly save their wife's life or whatever. And $140-something, I mean, my wife's life would be worth $1 million if I could get a hold of it. So I think that they should be able to withstand that and stop thinking that you get something for nothing in this world.
Thank you.
Sure. Remember last year when I was in California, when I was making calls for 911?
I sure do remember it.
And I had
It's a good example.
paid my ambulance because it was out of.
It's a good example.
That's something I was fixing to bring up about that, because we did not pay for it last year. And
Y'all told me that.
this was an emergency situation. This wasn't just, going on your own to have this test done or something like this. Judge, what I'd like to do is, I think Fred had a good idea there. I'd like to go ahead and pay what we would normally pay out here, and whoever the person is that had that done, go ahead and pay the 147. That's a little higher than what a normal copay would be, but at the same time, I still want to encourage people to go have the mammograms done. So I don't think that would hurt us financially. And
Okay, I'm not following exactly what you're saying.
Well,
Are you saying pay the claim based on the terms of the plan, period?
no, I'm saying pay what we would normally pay at Titus Regional. And if you're saying it's costing $147 more, and the patients will be responsible for that
Look,
$147.
similar situation, just like if anybody else, as you'll recall when we talked in our workshops, when an employee chooses to go out of network, it costs the employee this much, but it costs the county this much. So there are penalties built into the plan to try to steer employees to not use an out-of-network provider. But apparently we're not steering them hard enough, because we've got several that took advantage of out-of-network providers, and that's their choice, but still it costs the
What
county.
has happened in the past years, each Texas Medical Center would send a bus up here. And also blood, if you want to give blood and stuff like this, you can do that. But the blood's a whole different deal here. What I'm saying is it's going to cost the county the same, and they would be responsible for the extra 147. And let them know, we need to stay with the policy.
What you're saying is we're not going to pay the $147.
Right.
I agree with that.
Well, and I will tell you what one employee anyway, and I really don't know who it was that said this, is, basically they said, well, I've paid all I'm going to pay. In other words, if there's any more due to that provider, ETMC, that's somebody else's problem, but I'm not paying it. Which, again, the person that will likely get stuck would be that provider if they don't pay. If we say, no, we're sticking by the plan tonight, essentially we're going to, the bills that these individuals have already received are good bills. That's how much you owe, and you need to pay the difference to East Texas Medical Center. And agree, I agree, there are some people who innocently used that bus and did not realize the ramifications, but I don't think Diane realized it either.
That's true. I was innocent too, because I thought it was called 911 and ambulance, and, you don't get to choose, but I had to pay because the county said they weren't going to pay.
And I do know that it's brought up every year at open enrollment, East Texas Medical Center is not in our network. They may be someday, but they aren't now. All right, what about on the other gentleman that has an outstanding $500 that didn't respond to his letters?
Looks to me like it's the same thing.
Same situation?
Get 3 letters, you don't respond to them, it's kind of your fault.
Okay. All right. What about making a statement for the future, such as we've got a good plan, and until we see a gaping hole that really is a mistake that needs to be corrected, that we stick with the plan regardless of the ramifications, and those that don't respond to the provider and those that choose to go outside of network will pay additional. Okay.
You need a motion for that?
Yeah, and let's bust it up into 2 parts. Let's do the first one. I'll make a motion that the first pending request to pay the provider for that employee that did not respond to the letters requesting for additional information, because the 12-month statute has passed, that the county will not honor that claim. So that's the first motion. Second by Commissioner Hockaday. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the second item is for those that have incurred more costs than they expected related to utilization of the ETMC mammogram, a portable mammogram vehicle, that, again, we stick by the terms of the plan. That's the second motion.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Riddle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and then I'm going to make a third one, is that it is the intention of the county to stick by the terms of the plan and honor claims according to the plan, and those that by mistake or otherwise incur higher costs, that will be their responsibility going forward.
The part that's higher.
If they say, gosh, we've made a mistake here, we didn't intend for this to cost us more money, we're going to say, I'm sorry, these are the terms of the plan. And by making this motion, we want to encourage all department heads and all employees, be very, very careful before you spend any money or incur any services for health care unless you're absolutely sure what the payment arrangements are by our insurance.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Riddle. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you. I know it's a tough call. We're going to have some folks that are not happy with this, but I think we've got an excellent plan, and we just need to take advantage of the services that we have. We have Christy in the office, we have Cheryl, we have CAPS Insurance, and we have UMR. Just call the number on your card. When in doubt, we can get an answer for you if you're not sure. Item number 9, consider and possibly approve travel and seminars.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Well, let me tell you what they are here.
Okay. I've read them.
Oh, here they are. First one is from Deborah Abston. She would like to go to San Marcos for the educational roundup. She says this is mandatory. The dates of the training are January 20, 21, 22, 23. She will travel on the 20th of January and the 23rd of January. Registration cost of $175. Meals allowance of $140. That'll be 3.5 days, which is one $40 payment for each of 3 nights, and then a half payment for the travel day. $479.55 for the hotel accommodations. Travel cost of approximately $384 based on the mileage to and from, bringing her total request on this trip to $1,178.79. The next request is to pay the registration fee on behalf of the commissioners to attend the School for County Commissioners Court, and that will be in February the 17th, 18th, and the 19th. That's $195 per person. And again, we'll get travel details later. That's just to pay the registration fee and get the best price. The next request is Ray Barrett, Constable Precinct 2, would like to attend new constable school in Huntsville, March 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He'll travel a day before that. No registration cost, total per diem of $220. That's 5.5 days. Hotel accommodations, $468.70, and approximately $222 in miles to be claimed for that trip to Huntsville. Next request, also from Deborah Abston and Elodia Chapa. They had previously requested to go to this. Here they are asking for their reimbursement. This covers their attendance at the CJIS Criminal Justice Information System Reporting Conference in Galveston. This was actually last week. They were there. They traveled on, let's see, the 17th. They returned on the 21st. They had hotel accommodations that they shared, $501.40. They had per diems at $180 each, 4.5 days. They had approximate cost of travel, $398, for a total cost to attend for these two, $1,259.56. That's all.
Second.
That's it. Okay, I had a motion by Commissioner Riddle, second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor of approval of those travel requests, say aye. Aye. Opposed? There are none. Item number 10, approve oral and written reports of county officials.
Make a motion to approve reports.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hinton, second by Commissioner Hockaday. All in favor of acceptance and approval, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item number 11, consider possibly approve treasurer's report.
Make a motion to approve treasurer's report.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton and second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 12, approve budget amendments.
Yeah, you have several different ones here. We're finishing up working on the books at the end of the year, which is September 30th. As part of that, we clean up the budget numbers at the end of the year. Number 67 involves several different funds. The JP Courthouse security revenues, that was a new security fee that was set up, separated out for the JP part of the courthouse. So it was $1,400 in JP1 and $1,200 in JP2. There was nothing originally budgeted there, so those revenues had to be budgeted. And the general fund, the autopsies, we had to increase those by $5,000 to cover the autopsies for the year.
Is that additional?
That's additional $5,000, yes. It ended up running about $35,000 for autopsies for the year, which is a big number, but, you know, there's some rules that have come into place in the last few years where if you come across anybody that's found dead, even by natural causes, they have to have the autopsies, because nobody was there when they passed away. They weren't in a hospital or they weren't under a doctor's care. So those numbers have gone up for the last couple of years. I had budgeted $30,000 and ran $35,000. The meal center utilities that we agreed to split up, I waited till the end of the year to do a lot of these budget amendments, even though y'all had approved the spending of the money or whatever. I budgeted $2,500. That covered our portion of the meal center utilities since we started paying for part of those utilities.
Which actually was longer than, in other words, we assumed those liabilities before we got a commitment from those new entities,
Right.
so there was some overlap.
It ran $2,500. Law library books, that's paid for out of the law library fund, but again, we spent a little more money than we originally budgeted. $29,500 is what we originally budgeted. I had to add $1,400 more with $30,900. Chapter 19, which is the election money, it's the funds he gets for election use. It's $3,200 more revenue, $3,200 more for a computer expense. Those washed out, but that's some grant money he got. In the park fund, the trash pickup ran $200 more than we originally budgeted, $1,900 instead of $1,700. And the insurance fund, we had money in the fund, but my original claims for both premiums and medical claims, we were short in there. The claims ran $307,000 more, and the premiums collected were $76,000 more. We still ended up with money left in that, and I think y'all may remember, we talked about that, the fact that we started the year, I think, with $500,000 in the insurance fund, and we were going to finish the year with about $250 or $300, and then this year we went back to put $125,000 in there that we didn't put in the year before. On the bond INS funds, we collected $320,000 from the state as part of the payments. Not the full $8 million payments, but they've been making some small payments on the part that goes up. Yeah, so I had budgeted that, so that's $320,000. That money all goes into the INS funds because it goes to make the bond payments. In the Talco Fire Department, the year before, they were late sending us their last invoice, so we only paid them $11,000 the year before. This year they got caught up, so we paid them $13,000 this year. I had budgeted $12,000 in both years, so I had to budget another $1,000 in there, but it's no additional money. And then in the archive fund, Diane spent more. I originally budgeted $40,000. Of course, again, that's a standalone fund, and she spends the money on the archive and as she needs to. I originally budgeted $40,000. She spent $67,000. So I had to amend that budget, but that's money that's in there that's separate money. That takes care of cleaning up those funds. That's number 67. Number 68 is just the routine on the loop construction, where when we get an invoice, which we have an invoice towards the end of September 30th, and I adjusted to match the paid budget. It's just moving money around. There's no additional funds in that, but it is moving money around between the line items. That's 68. Number 69 and number 70 and number 71 is budgeting for the surge funds. Y'all had the surge funds, we knew we were doing the surge funds, but I waited till we got to the end of the year to see what the numbers were. Yes.
Road rent funds,
Yes. So those zero out, the revenues and expenses zero out, but they have to be budgeted. So the number 69 is for precinct 2, number 70 is for precinct 1, and number 71 is for precinct 3. Now that's for last year. I have 2 budget amendments for the current year, for the new year. And this is number 1 and number 2. Number 1, again, deals with the loop construction for the last invoice that I got. Again, it's no change in total dollars, just moving the money around between the lines. And then number 2 is the surge fund for precinct 1. And some of that money rolled over into this year, was paid out of this year. Now precinct 3 is going to have a lot of money too, but I don't know those numbers yet, so I'll wait till we get those figures in the spring before I amend the budget. But it will come out of your current numbers and go up into there, the county matching part.
Right.
So that's the 2 for that.
Anybody like any further discussion on any of these? Okay, so that finishes up the budget year with number 71 budget amendment, and then we begin the new budget year with number 1, number 2 budget amendments.
And the outside auditor should be here in December. They're coming December 15th, so that finishes up. The book should be finished this week. So.
All right. Need a motion on budget amendments. Motion by Commissioner Hinton, second by Commissioner Hockaday. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 13, signed pay orders, approved payments. Motion by Commissioner Hockaday, second by Commissioner Hinton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 14, closing comments. Good news to get the 271 bypass approval in order. We will begin pushing as hard as we can. I'll plan to take a trip here in the next month to Austin to see if we can't get our reimbursements beginning as quickly as possible to get money flowing back to the county for the completion of 271. We've already received monies. We're started in the process on 2348, but we want to get the money coming in on the next phase as quickly as possible. I had an opportunity to go to judicial training last week in Austin, all paid for by Texas Association of Counties. It was an excellent 2.5 days. Actually, yeah, 2.5 days, that's right. Commissioner Hinton.
I have nothing,
Commissioner
Judge.
Hockaday. Commissioner Fields.
Judge, I would like to say something, just a second.
Take care of that. Commissioner Riddle.
Yeah, I'd like to, somewhere in my training, the first year I was in business, it said abandoned cemeteries was our responsibility to take care of, and the commissioners, at least, unless I'm mistaken, I thought it said that. One of the schools I went to or something, I don't know where I got the information, but I really thought that.
And you may very well be right. I am going to plan on putting this on the next agenda. If there was any thoughts or notes y'all want to jot down, and we'll invite any public comment that there may be on any suggestions for the Commissioners Court related to our local cemeteries. Commissioner Fields? Yes, sir.
I would like to say, I'm sorry, also, if I understand workman's comp correctly, if I have on the steps I hear slip and state I can draw workman's comp, I can file a claim and I'll get money, right? From the state or the workman's comp insurance, because you're going to pay so much a month or so much a quarter for every employee that's on there. Is that right or not right?
I'm not an insurance expert now, but my guess would be if you were at work, that would be true. If you were just up here on a Saturday afternoon, I think our liability coverage would have to cover if you slipped on the steps, not the workman's comp.
Or if I'm out helping get a tree off the road.
Right, because you're at work. Yes, because you're at work.
Well, I'd be coming to the courthouse, I'd be at work. But the point is, I'm going to get my full salary. and all these elected officials get their full salary. And then we're going to get a little check with a workman's comp insurance.
No, I don't think that's right.
You what now?
It's to pay the medical bills.
Oh, you don't get it?
If there's lost wages involved, that's a different subject. But no, you as a salaried individual aren't going to get that. But as somebody who's paid by the hour and can't be at work, and I don't know that they're going to get paid at full value. I don't know how that reimbursement works. There are certain calculations that they use that the company will determine how much they're going to get paid for how long, and I guess that can be negotiated. Again, in my experience, that can be negotiated with the doctor, who is, the one who tells you when you can return to work. They have some say-so in that. But
It's mainly to pay the medical bills, I would think.
And
You get paid what?
We had an incident 2 or 3 years ago where workers' comp paid them, and they did not get a salary from us. And then we had cases where we would go ahead and pay it, and then we get reimbursed from workers' comp, and we put it back in our salary.
Yeah, well-
That's the 2 scenarios that we've seen.
I don't know if they've changed the rules any, but I had one that was on for 2 or 3 months, and he got the workman's comp paid him. The county didn't pay him any money, and he got whatever they paid, and I don't know what it was.
It wasn't, well, the industry I come out, truck,
That's not the full amount.
you didn't get your full salary. It was a lot less than the full salary on the workman's comp
Yes.
policy. A lot less.
And he didn't get paid from the county, he just got what he got from the,
Workman's comp.
and he was an hourly employee, so, I don't know how it would work with an elected official. I've never heard of it.
I didn't think workers' comp paid your salary off.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's not going to pay you more than what you're already being paid. It'll be for lost wages and mostly for medical expenses, because our insurance plan won't pay for something that is eligible for a work comp claim.
And vice versa.
And that's one of the questions they ask you. Is this a work-related accident? They want to know so that...
That's why that gentleman we got to want to know if there was other insurance, I'm sure. Because I've seen it where if it looked like it was an accident, they would make sure it wasn't workman's comp or something.
Well, it was actually on his daughter, and all the question they wanted to know was, and we've all had to answer this question at least once during the year, do you have additional insurance coverage that should be taking care of this besides the county's UMR policy? And every one of us has gotten a letter related to that sometime during the year. And unfortunately, they're going to ask it every year. We've talked to CAPS about maybe doing away with that, because nobody here is going to have double coverage if you've got county insurance. Did you have anything else related to a work comp question?
No, but I do have a question about the public meetings and the fact that the cemeteries, you made the statement a while ago that you was going to wait and discuss it with the commissioners before you put it on the agenda.
I want to give you an opportunity to get any thoughts or comments together rather than just springing it on you. That's what I mean to say. So be prepared for next meeting. I don't know that we're going to come up with a solution for this problem, but perhaps with some input from one another or members of the public, maybe we can get a game plan, or we can discuss the limitations that Commissioner Fields discussed. So again, 2 weeks from tonight, or 2 weeks from today, I'll plan on having that on the agenda.
One thing I wanted to talk about, Judge, I've had quite a few people talk to me about they can hear us pretty good, but they're having trouble hearing people from the audience. I would like to look in, instead of the mobile mics, to have the wires hooked to it, and maybe put one on like the second bench and one back at the back bench.
I don't think it's that much trouble. I just need to remember to get people, if you have something to say, you're going to say it in front of the mic. And the more microphones we get out there on that side of the speakers, I've asked Dennis about this. I think we've set up about as good of a situation as we've got. I just need to be more diligent in asking people to come to the mic, or handing them the mic.
Well, I've had quite a few people ask me that sometimes And I know time before last, we had some lights, you couldn't hear anything, they had them up, the battery went dead or something like that.
Dennis worked on our system over here and replaced something that was wrong, so now we're not having the feedback that we were having, and we've got both of these mics on without feedback.
Okay. That's all I was wanting to, because we're getting more and more people watching it, and I appreciate them taking the time to do that. That's all I have to.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Make a
moved.
motion by Commissioner Hinton and second by Commissioner Riddle. All in favor, say aye. 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 Thank you, everyone. Good evening, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday.